An arena goer who is holding their own went up to someone who is rank 1 in Arena Assault and asked, what are the best builds for units? And the answer, what that person thinks is surprising, and what that person's running are amazing. While I don't really have a drive to get to the #1 spot in either board, Arena or Arena Assault, the fact that there are people out there who could do it are really impressive to me, because once you're vying for that very top spot, it is a lot of numbers and gaming on different aspects, but when it comes down to it, you also have to be really in tune with the meta. So whenever I saw this thread on Reddit that was created by a user by the name of Oxio, it was fascinating to me to see the kind of answers that he was coming up with to people's questions about what it's like being in Arena Assault rank 1. The questions that were asked varied, but the ones that were the most fascinating were about builds. And so really what he uses himself is actually quite impressive. And I found it very inspiring, and I think I found something a little better if arena points aren't the thing you care about most. But whenever he was asked what was the best build out there for enemy phase, player phase, mixed phase, he just said, you know, any armor unit that has bold fighter and the quick riposte seal. That's the best when it comes down to it, because I mean it's mixed phase, but it's also devastating on enemy phase and really powerful on the player phase. Between all of that, and you know what the typical build is, like, yeah, you add steady fighter to that, or if you have Zelgius, then instead of quick riposte, usually you want to do quick impulse so that he can get his Black Luna off really quickly. Those things are not new. That's not necessarily awe-inspiring, but it is good to have like a sort of a confirmation from a player who is up at the top there about like what is really something that is just hard. As a matter of fact, he gives a special call out to Zelgius specifically, saying, you know what, this is just one of the more difficult things, because whenever they're built right and up that high, they are built right, you have to have a very specific counter to them. And I like the acknowledgement of that sometimes you have a build set that is just so relevant that you do have to make sure that you have specific counters for that. I mean, like, for those who are playing the home game, that would mean that you would need potentially, actually, once you're talking about rank 1, almost guaranteed you're going to need to have 7 different counters to this one build. It's crazy to think of that you do that, but then again, everybody ended up, who cared about Arena, so everybody ended up having multiple Reinhardt counters and Bolin counters. I know I'm sitting on a stash of them. I mean, I make a team now without even thinking about Reinhardt, and I have a Reinhardt counter built into the team. That's just what has happened as time has evolved. And I'm sure the same's going to happen with Zelgius, but it's going to be replaced with somebody else. And that's the nature of how these games will evolve. What I thought was really interesting was his thought on Ryoma, Legendary Ryoma. Now, Legendary Ryoma is going to be bringing you a slew of Arena Assault points. He's going to bring you a slew of Arena points between his BST, between how the seals and the blessings are, the blessings are scored. That's going to really, really ratchet up somebody's score. So having him on a team makes a lot of sense. He's also just super speedy, and he has an okay attack, but his thing is that he doesn't understand why more people aren't running Ryoma with Armor Smasher and Distant Counter. The thing that he was going for was that you could go ahead and look around, and even you could throw that into the DPT, and you're not going to get the absolute best build if you're trying to min-max for that. However, his point was, and I love this point, his point was, is if it's doing what you need it to do, then it is the perfect build. And Ryoma is very well suited that with minimum buffs, he could handle every armor unit, period. And that's super valuable, because that in and of itself is already one counter for him that he has for Zelgius, and on a defensive team, now you have something that you would think you'd be able to throw an Effie or a Harden at. No, it doesn't work. Both of those units, assuming Ryoma is properly supported, and that's not always a guarantee whenever the AI is running your defensive team, you have this situation though that your opponent just can't get past. That's really cool. Now, if they're running dragons, which is also another really big meta thing right now, of course, it's gonna fall flat. But, you know, not everything is perfect. But his thing was that Ryoma, legendary Ryoma, was very specifically positioned to be able to handle a huge section of the meta just with a small tweak like that, getting rid of his, bringing down the distant counter to the A slot, and then in his weapon, giving him the armor smasher. And I think that's wonderful that he has looked at that and he sees it to be super powerful. And it's something to think about, because it is an odd setup, and not many people, actually I'm one of the people who hate getting rid of a preferred weapon on somebody. But it's powerful, it's very effective. As a matter of fact, there was a video a while ago talking about weird builds for Black Knight, and yeah, it was brave weapons and Wu Daos and things like that. The most exciting thing, the thing that really got me thinking the hardest, was what he does to his Grima. Now, Grima is a wonderful, wonderful candidate for the set that he said is the most powerful. I mean, that's how I'm running my Grima. Whenever I put him in arena, that's how I run him. The thing is that that's not what he's doing with his. He has a unique build on there that really right now, as of recording, Grima is the only one who could do it, because it uses both armor components and breath weapons, and there's no other combination that gets this done. The combination is that he has Wary Fighter for a B slot and Dark Breath Plus as his weapon. And he does have Distant Counter as his A slot. So that way he still has the Distant Counter ability, but the Wary Fighter in the natural bulk of Grima means that if you're not one-shotting him, the enemy side just gets messed over. And I think that's fascinating. I have always looked at different armory units to use Wary Fighter as sort of a pacing unit. Somebody that I'm like, okay, look, I don't need a death to occur, I need movement to stop. And so that's something that I have done with several of my units. And whenever I saw what he was doing with that, taking the synergy even farther, really, I had like a brick to the head moment. I'm like, oh my gosh, I see why I didn't think of this, but why have I not been leveraging this at all? And so that's when it hit me again that I'm like, yeah, I have been doing this, and I just haven't been realizing it. I ran this in an arena season a while ago. Everybody has access to Zephiel, and Zephiel has a wonderful, wonderful refine on his weapon. If you give him the distant counter in the A slot, then you could go ahead and give him another threatened skill. Heck, you could give him a third threatened skill if you really want to in his seal, but I don't necessarily recommend that. I would recommend a resistance +3, or, well, I have a frickin' fortress resistance, so that's what I run on mine, to be able to help round out, make sure he doesn't die to Grima, because otherwise it's rough, guys. So if you set up your Zephiel like that, it's just as, actually it's more potent than Grima in the DPT. You get more, you don't get more wins, but you get more draws, and then on the other return fire, so to speak, you will get a little more wins in a couple of areas. It's a, there's obviously this format's not meant for analyzing things like that, but that unit is fantastic. And I'm glad that I built him up. I only have a +2. I think I'm going to go ahead and get him to +4 eventually. This actually has encouraged me to make it a higher priority. I think I'm going to bump my Roy for this one actually and do this. The only thing is that, yeah, you could go ahead and sit there and wait for time to pass patiently so that you can get more merges past +4 for your Zephiel. But in the meantime, no, you can't use this to get into rank 1 of Arena Assault, but you could definitely use this to get into the, at least, you know, like around the 3,000 range in Arena Assault. You could definitely use that Zephiel to do super well in Arena for you, because nothing chews through that. I shouldn't say nothing. Very few things chew through that. It is just an incredibly potent build, and I'm super excited to continue merging up my Zephyl. I said no, I shouldn't, because of, you know, arena things, but I'm sitting here going, yes, that was the right call. I should have made my Zephyl. How about you? Have you been working with Zephyl at all? Have you done anything weird, quote unquote, with your armor units, like what we've discussed here? Let me know down in the comments. I want to see if this is something that is just been out there and I've been oblivious to it, or if this is something that is new to you as well. I would love to know. And do me a favor, if you like your Fire Emblem information hot and fresh like Grandma's cookies, hit that subscribe button. My name is Deltran. Thank you guys so much. I greatly appreciate all of you. And until next time, take it easy.